I freely admit I like a weird car, ideally a Jaguar XE Project 8. This, a bit of a weird car. I'm introducing you to the 2025, wait for it, Mercedes-AMG S63 E-Performance. I do think Mercedes need to rethink their naming strategy at the moment. It's just a bit of a mouthful, so for the purposes of this video, let's call it the S63. That is a model that we're familiar with. This is not the first time Mercedes have made an S63. It's kind of a strange one because, of course, the S-Class is supposed to be, I think, the epitome of a luxury executive sedan or saloon. By giving it the AMG treatment, you're like, oh, how does this make sense? But they've always kind of been awesome. And what is new for this generation is the E-Performance part. This is now, yes, a hybrid. There is still the 4-litre bi-turbo V8, that's great. We have the added performance and theoretically fuel economy of the electric motor. I say fuel economy like that because it's an 800 horsepower, yes, V8 powered super saloon that weighs like 2.5 tons, so fuel economy is all relative, right? And also, it costs £186,000. I don't think people who buy this car care about fuel bills at that point. But who buys it? That is my question, because I sort of love this thing. I'm going to get into it in the video. I'm slightly obsessed, but I don't really understand why on earth you would ever spend that money on this, because it's arguably unnecessary. Because if you're buying an S-Class, well, you could just buy a 10-year-old one like this and save yourself 150 grand. That is a 2016 Mercedes S63 AMG, and not only does it have a much more straightforward name, but I think it might represent better bang for your buck, because this W222 generation of the S-Class was so ahead of its time that it still feels kind of bang up to date and brand new today. Stepping inside this isn't necessarily any less luxurious or impressive than stepping into that brand new car. So okay, fine, it doesn't have a hybrid system and some of the latest driver assistance systems and things like that, but this is still, well, it still feels like a 200 grand car, even though the owner bought it for less than 40 grand. Anyway, let's go and find out what is the point of the Mercedes-AMG S63 E-Performance in 2025. I'm so tempted to make a sort of cliched automotive journalist reference to the fact there are horses and this has a lot of horsepower, but I'm gonna bite my tongue. I just did it, didn't I? Oh, anyway. Now, I want to show you this cabin, the interior experience, because of course we have to talk about what this car is like to drive. The fact it is an AMG version, it has 800 horsepower, that's, I guess, what we want to find out about. But there is so much going on in here. And I think if you're buying an S-Class, you want all of this as well. Even if you're buying the AMG version, you're buying an S-Class because you want all of the comfort and the infotainment and the luxury and the features. And my good Lord, are there features. I want to kickstart with seats. Very important, obviously, when you're driving. If I hit this home button, hit comfort, brings up various sort of things that we can interact with. Massage being the most important. I already mentioned the fact I'm old and I spend a lot of time on the road. I like to be massaged as I drive. And this car has 10 different massage programs, and some of them feel quite personal. Like the other day I was on the motorway and something vibrated underneath me. I was like, ooh. You see that ambient light? This is fun. In this generation S-Class, you get this kind of light bar that runs along the entire interior. My daughter loves this feature because when I pick her up from nursery, I get to say to her, what colour do you want? You can literally push that and go, ooh, now it's blue. These flash when you're doing, what's it called? Blind spot monitoring and things like that. So there's so much going on. And this is where my negative comment comes in. It's too much. You've got the fact that this car has 800 horsepower and all this torque and it's an AMG and you're here to drive. But I've literally spent the last week just playing with the infotainment system. I haven't driven it as much because I've been like, ooh, I could make this purple. Is that purple? Am I colourblind? What is that, pink? Now, in the 2016 car, it's funny because obviously things aren't as futuristic in here, but they really don't feel dated. Of course, we have to applaud the fact there are physical buttons in here. The new car, as amazing as that interior is, has fallen foul of, well, something that so many new cars have, where everything is a haptic touch button or a touch screen. There are still big screens in here, but we have buttons for air conditioning, buttons on the steering wheel. That's all quite nice. But it, as I say, it really doesn't feel particularly old in here. There's still enough technology and also enough luxurious points that just elevate the entire cabin experience. Let me just turn on the ignition. Got a huge start-stop button just there under the steering wheel. Digital dials fire into life. I've got sat-nav loading there. Again, it doesn't feel dated. A lot of this sort of technology can age very quickly. This is 10-year-old sort of tech. This wasn't even one of the facelift cars, which got an improved infotainment system like that. But okay, the screen is maybe a little bit more laggy than the new car, but because the new car's trying to do so much, it also has moments of being laggy. Let's talk about massage seats. Where would I find massage seat function? Let me push that. That looks like a sort of massage. Oh yes! Oh, we've got a massage seat function now. I have to use this swivelly thing here. Dynamic seat. I know what that is. Come back to that later. Seat heating, yes. Okay. Okay, so I've got almost as much customization or maneuverability as the other car, but let's go into massage. There we go. Okay, fine. And I've got 6 different programs. How many programs does the other car have? I know I've got 6 different programs. Go on that. Press back against the pressure spot in the backrest. Okay, fine. Yeah, maybe not as effective as the other car, but it's still a massage function. And then so much else going on. Beautiful Burmester sound system. Fun enough, very similar seat controls to the new car. I've got blinds, so all the leathers, an actual IWC clock in the middle. Beautiful AMG Alfa Tabak logo there. This system, it's not as intuitive as this is bloody lovely, and you would be really hard pushed to convince your non-car friend that this was a 10-year-old car. This feels bang up to date. I'm not sure I'm ready for this. Oh, no traction, no! I honestly do not understand how something that weighs nearly 2,600 kilos moves as quickly as this thing does. I mean, I do understand it's 800 horsepower. The powertrain in this thing is wild, and I honestly think if it was a bit drier, and if you were to ever be brave enough to turn traction off, you would just be, it would be a delight. Of course, anything this powerful, this fast, and this heavy needs big brakes, and my lord, these carbon ceramics are wonderful. They're sort of perfectly judged. Firstly, the pedal feel is really relaxed. It's so easy to modulate, but around town or out here, they're just really reliable. You can overtake cars here sneezing. Like if you just went, achoo, you accidentally apply enough throttle that you're just past 5 cars. Oh, thing is, there is still quite a bit of turbo lag. It is also traction lag. It's sort of very greasy and damp out here today. It's a typical November day. But it's this pull. It's just this sort of relentless feeling pull. It's actually quite enjoyable to thread around corners. Now, you're definitely not going to take this thing to an Alps mountain pass. Let's not get carried away. But in terms of a car that can sort of do a long journey and various different types of roads, this could be it. You sort of want it all to flow, but like it holds really nicely. It feels kind of flat. It's got rear wheel steering, which obviously helps in terms of change of direction and things like that. And it's also got special technology at the rear to kind of keep things fairly balanced and flat as well. But it does mean that you have the kind of confidence to go into corners. I'm so impressed by this car, like honestly. It's sort of engaging, and because it's a sort of wolves in sheep's clothing, because it's still relatively subdued on the outside. Okay, this one with all the chrome and the bling bling, not so much, but it's really competent. Like it's really, really competent. Now, whilst 800 horsepower is very impressive and very AMG-like, I have to say that this older car feels inherently more AMG. Firstly, because we have the slightly more iconic 5.5 litre AMG V8, not that new 4 litre bi-turbo unit, but also this car rear-wheel drive, or at least available in rear-wheel drive format, which means it's quite terrifying. This is a way more intimidating car to drive than the new one because, well, it just wants to absolutely burn through its rear tyres. Putting the power down in this thing, whilst it might be 2 or maybe nearly 300 horsepower less than the new car, feels harder. I am sort of slightly having to concentrate whenever I mash the throttle on this thing because it starts to move around, which is hilarious. Whilst it might be a little sort of more rudimental in its sense, or maybe not as impressive in terms of its dynamic capabilities, it's kind of more fun. And it's no less refined as a driving experience. It's still pretty quiet in here. You can't really hear the engine apart from a little bit of a burble. Road noise is quite reduced and it's so comfortable. I do still have these kind of intelligent side bolsters, which I don't love, but the thing is hilarious. Now I'm just going to see if I can slow down for 2 seconds, come down through these gears. Gearbox is pretty responsive. I see some negatives about that, but a little squirm there. There's the driest section of road that I found. It is, well, yes, it makes even less sense than the new car because of the performance. The being more AMG-like makes it less S-Class-like. Does that make sense? I sort of love how unhinged this thing is. But it's, yeah, the new car does a way better job of gelling all of its abilities. This thing is just like, let's take an S-Class and put a ridiculous engine and way too much performance in it. It's kind of amazing though. Haven't even really shown you the back yet, have I? We did actually do a podcast back here a few weeks ago. Tony and I recorded an entire episode from these rear seats because they're ginormous and there is so much space back here. I think I'm in the best seat in the car in terms of comfort and space. I'm pushing a button right now, which is sitting me up in it's almost like a business class flight seat. It's going to lay me semi-flat really, which is quite an outrageous experience, but also demonstrates just how overloaded this car is with tech. And I suppose, again, talking about the point of this actual AMG version, the value or the reason for this is you can then get chauffeured at speed. Because again, you know, these features aren't necessarily unique to the AMG version, but the thought that I could be back here about to fall asleep whilst being, yes, propelled down the road at great pace, but in quietness. That's the amazing thing about that refinement that I've been talking about. It's this sort of unbelievable, almost face-mushing speed and power, but with just this kind of subdued elegance that you would want from an S-Class. Anyway, it's a little bit bright in here for my nap, so do that. Close my blinds. I also think I should close the... Oh, that was... I don't even know that one was going. Can I do the sunroof? Yeah, there we go. Let's do that too. I think what I'll do right now to sum up is put my headphones on, watch some YouTube content. Is that a remote? There's so much stuff in here that I just keep finding. Like, I think I've explored the car and researched, and then I find something I'm like, I didn't even know I had this. For example, when we did the podcast, like there's a little cubby hole that goes to like a pass-through thing. I guess you could have a fridge back there. This, again, like didn't even realise, this pops out. It's like a little tablet screen. There we go. Because now that's so far away, I don't want to lean forward, do I? I can now control it all with this. I mean, it's amazing, but it's just like too much. Anyway, as I said, noise cancelling. Not that there's any noise in this cabin ever. This is a joke. This is comfier than my own bed at home. Like I'm getting rid of rubbish and signing off. So, who would or why would you buy an S63 AMG E-Performance? I don't know. There is close to zero justification for it, apart from the fact it's awesome. I tell you what, it's no less fantastic in the back of this old one. I could just as easily fall asleep back here. There's a few less creature comforts. I haven't got a footrest, for example, or a screen, but beggars can't be choosers. I do really hope people go out and buy that new S63 E-Performance, whatever it's called. I don't think people will, because people didn't buy this model either. It's always been a bit too niche and weird, as in, why would you buy the AMG version? Why wouldn't you just go and get a standard diesel or low-level petrol engine, because you get all of the benefits of S-Classness without the need for the stupid power. But the stupid power is so cool and the styling, it's just mega. The owner of this car, shout out Cira Car Collector, uses it essentially as his daily and as a motorway mile muncher, and he just says it's just cool to have that performance under your right foot as and when you need it, and the gargle of the engine, all these kind of things. But yeah, I want people to go and buy the new one so that they depreciate as heavily as this, and one day they're 40 odd grand. Because the new one is inherently better in all ways. It's not a massive leap and step, weirdly. They've sort of improved all the little areas. But this thing feels almost more impressive given the fact it's 10 years old than the new car. But if they were the same price, I'd pick the new one. I just would. So anyway, in a roundabout piece, what am I trying to say? Let's stop sleeping on S-classes, stop buying SUVs, these things are fantastic. And the AMG versions are still as mad, but as attractive a proposition as ever, I think, for me, someone who likes bizarre cars. Thanks to Mercedes-Benz UK for lending me the new car. Thanks to Sarah Car Collector for lending me this one. And yeah, don't have much to say apart from let's all go buy AMG S-classes. Oh.